All right, let's dive in. We spend so much of our lives online, and there are all these invisible helpers working behind the scenes to make it all happen. Today, we're going to peek behind the curtain at one of the most important ones, the proxy server. We're going to figure out what they are, and more importantly, why you should even care.
So let me just ask you straight up, have you ever heard of a proxy server? I bet you've seen the term pop up in your browser settings, or maybe you've heard techie friends mention it. But what does it actually do?
You know, the simplest way to think about it is as a middleman. It's this thing that sits between you and the entire internet. But that just begs the question, right? Why on earth would we need a go-between for something that feels so direct? Well, that's exactly what we're here to break down.
So to answer that, let's start at the very beginning and get properly introduced to the internet's most important middleman. What exactly is a proxy?
Okay, so at its core, a proxy server is, well, it's just another computer, but it has a very special job. When you try to go to a website, your request doesn't just shoot straight over there. Nope, it takes a little detour. It goes to the proxy first. The proxy then makes that request for you, grabs the website's response, and sends it right back to you. It's a simple little sidestep, but it has some really powerful implications.
But what does that detour actually look like? You know, how does this whole handoff really work? The good news is it's way less complicated than you might think, especially if we use a simple analogy.
To make this super clear, let's just forget about computers for a second. Let's think about something a little more old school, sending a letter. Imagine you write a letter. That's your request to visit a website. Now, instead of dropping it in the mailbox yourself, you give it to a trusted friend, and that friend is our proxy server. Your friend then takes that letter and delivers it for you. And when there's a reply, it doesn't come back to your house, it goes to your friend's house first, and then they bring it back to you. So you get the message, but your direct involvement is kind of hidden.
And this right here is the magic trick. The person who gets the letter, they never see your real home address. All they see is your friend's address. In the digital world, your address is your IP address. It's what uniquely identifies you online. The proxy effectively swaps its IP address for yours.
So, okay, why go through all this trouble? What's the real benefit of having this middleman handling our digital mail? Well, it turns out there are some seriously powerful reasons.
It really all comes down to 5 key advantages. First, by hiding your real IP address, you get a huge boost in privacy. They can also act as a security guard, giving you tighter security by filtering out malicious stuff. Big companies use them for controlled access, like making sure employees stay on task. And as we're about to see, they're amazing for bypassing restrictions based on where you are in the world. And believe it or not, they can sometimes even give you faster performance by saving copies of websites, which is a process we call caching.
Let's just zoom in on that bypassing restrictions point, because it's a perfect example. Let's say you're sitting in New York, but you want to watch something that's only available in the UK. Well, if you connect through a proxy server that's physically in London, any website you visit will see the proxy's London IP address, not your New York one. As far as they're concerned, you're browsing from right across the pond.
Now, what's really cool is that proxy isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. There are actually different types, and they're all designed for very different jobs. Let's quickly go over the main 3.
So first up is the one most people think of, the forward proxy. This is your proxy. It sits between you and the internet, handling all your outgoing requests. Then you have the reverse proxy. This one isn't for you, it's for the website. It sits in front of a company's web servers, kind of like a bouncer at a club, managing all the incoming traffic and adding a layer of security. And finally, there's the sneaky one, the transparent proxy. You've probably used one of these at school or work without ever knowing it. It just works in the background, enforcing the network's rules.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. But where do these digital middlemen actually show up in the real world? Well, the answer is pretty much everywhere. You've almost certainly used one today and didn't even realize it.
Seriously, if you've ever tried to watch a show on Netflix that's not available in your country, you've seen why proxies are useful. If you work in an office, it's almost guaranteed your internet connection runs through a corporate proxy for security. And pretty much every single major website you visit, from news sites to your favorite online stores, they all use reverse proxies to handle the tidal wave of visitor traffic without crashing.
So really, the big takeaway is this. A proxy server is your silent partner online. It's this incredibly versatile tool that can be a shield for your privacy, a gatekeeper for security, and a traffic cop for the web, all by just rerouting your requests.
We've seen how proxies work for us as individuals, but what happens when you scale that idea up, like way up? How do those reverse proxies manage the traffic for the biggest websites on the planet and keep the whole system from grinding to a halt? Well, that's a story for our next explainer.